What up, what up, what up? Sports fans, football fans all over the world. It's your boy Mac, the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Al Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac, the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas, man. How you feeling this evening, Adam?
I am feeling great. We are finally back here. We are finally back for the actual start of football, ladies and gentlemen. The football has touched down. There has been camp going on. There's been injuries across the league. We're back, baby. We're back.
Yes, indeed. It is football is officially back. You get a little game next week, next Thursday night. I mean, no, it's just a Hall of Fame game, but it's football, and it's back.
It is back, boy. Like I did not think when you think about football in January when this was over, right? And you're crawling to these months. Now it's summertime and it's flying, and I'm like, oh, we got to the MLB All-Star game, and all of a sudden now July's over at the end of this week, and where training camp is in full swing. I'm like, wow. So we literally, folks, you realize that next week is August. That means September, less than a month away, we'll have football that's real. Football that's real. I can't believe that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's here. And this week on, we figure since today is only literally the first day of practice for these teams, man. We're gonna have a little fun this episode, man. We're gonna do some positional rankings in the NFCs, ranking all the positions, positional groups. Is how we're basing these rankings off of. So don't be like get all crazy if you don't agree with something. You gotta think about it for the whole positional group in whole totality. So that's how we are basing these rankings off of. I guess we could want to start with the offense, I suppose. You want to get to it, Adam. Start the quarterback position, man. How do you got it, man?
I have the Cowboys. The Commanders, the Giants, and then the Eagles. I know Eagle fans are not going to like me on that one, but I'm looking at talent. Normally, guys, I tell you about resumes and things like that, but the talent of the quarterback positions is where I'm going with this. And obviously, when you look at the Cowboys, Dak Prescott is at the top, and then you have Jaden Daniels, who is a magic maker himself. I have to put him at number 2. Even though I'm a Giant fan, I have to do it because of the season he had. And, obviously they have a good backup in Mariota. But we're just going with rankings. And then the Giants, I feel they have an up-and-comer who showed me a lot and had more diversity in his game. And then Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. The reason I ranked him 4th is because talent-wise, I think a lot of talent around him has helped him. I think he's a gamer. I think they have a gamer kind of quarterback. But for me, that's how I'm ranking it. And if Eagle fans are mad, well, guess what, guys? I just call it like I see it. And I believe that eventually these rankings are going to hold true at the end of the year. When we look at the end of the year and we're going to see, the quarterbacks as they navigate the season, barring injury, of course, I think it's going to kind of fall like this when it comes to yards. Does that mean the teams are going to be ranked like that? No. That doesn't mean the teams are going to be ranked like that. But the quarterbacks for me at the end of when all right now going into the season, I have the Cowboys, Commanders, Giants, Eagles. That's how I look at it.
Ooh, we are definitely going to be off to a very different start here because I did put some value. I put a little extra stock into the starters in these positions when I did my rankings as well, and it's going to be some difference. I have a difference of opinion. I put the Eagles quarterback room in totality at number one. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, I mean, I still look at how you can feel, how we can all feel any way we want to about Jalen Hurts. I still think he's had a very accomplished career thus far. And it's not his fault that his GM has put tremendous talent around him. I mean, that I can't discredit him for that. That's not a thing on him. I do see your point there, Adam. But I mean, I can't. All I can do is based off of what I've seen, and what I've seen is a guy that has just won a lot of football games, has played the two Super Bowls, and has played absolutely tremendous in both of them. Even though one his team and taking the L was not really necessarily because of him. But
well, yeah, Sam's one play.
I mean, yeah, but overall, he played a tremendous game.
Well, that's why I called him a gamer. You know what I mean? That's why I said he's a gamer. Is he spectacular? Does he do a lot of things well? No,
I'm not saying that, but then just to put some more thought into where the reason why I ranked the Eagles number one here is because then I look at their depth chart and the quarterback room, and it's actually pretty damn strong. I mean, at number two here, you got Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. I mean, look, he's not what he once was in this league, but he was a starter for a whole lot of years. And he's got a lot of experience, a lot of seasoning on him. And he's definitely a guy that if Jalen Hurts goes down, you're not feeling all that bad about having to bring Andy Dalton in there. Tanner McKee, their third guy, I mean, that guy also has shown that he's got a little bit of game as well. And he's just their emergency quarterback at this point. But then also, then number two, I went with Dallas. And mostly on the strength – this is mostly on the strength of Dak Prescott, because if we were ranking these starters individually, Dak Prescott to me would be number one guy. But then look at the rest of his quarterback room, and what I see is Joe Milton, who got famous for beating up on the Buffalo Bills backups when he was a rookie. And like that's about it. That's his claim to fame in the National Football League thus far. And I mean, and Sam Howell also on the depth chart, who did have a roller coaster kind of year in Washington a few years ago. But at this point, he's just Sam Howell. I mean, I think it's what's behind Dak Prescott. If Dak is to go down, the Cowboys, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about their situation if Dak Prescott was to go down. But just because I think Dak is so good, I think he's the best individual quarterback in this division. That still gives them enough weight to put them up at number two. And then I put the Giants at third, because I think the Giants quarterback, when Jackson Dart did show some really good signs a season ago as a rookie. And Jameis Winston, I think, is just a solid backup quarterback, man. Like, it's about as good as it gets. Definitely one of the best backup quarterbacks. If you make an argument that he may be the best backup quarterback in the league.
I'd argue he's the best.
But, and then Brandon Allen also is another just, guy that's he's played, he's got some seasoning on him, and he's shown some decent football at times in the league as well.
Did he play for the Bengals and won them a game or two?
Yeah, he did. He stepped in. I think I can't remember if he was coming in for Joe Burrow and for a couple of weeks or so, but he played some. He had some up and down, but I mean, he's obviously clearly a backup quarterback in this league, but he showed some signs. He's shown some signs as well. So I mean, good solid veteran to be in the New York Giants room, to also be assisting with Jackson Dart's development. And then I put Washington third, only because Jaden Daniels, coming off the tremendous rookie season that he had, and then last year, really with the injuries and such, never really was able to get his footing last season. But then the rest of the room, Marcus Mariota, who is obviously also another top backup quarterback in this league. No, nothing against him. But then the rest of the room is like I can't even pronounce this one guy's name here, and then Sam Hartman. That's just not going to cut it.
I can't pronounce one guy's name, and the other guy's not going to cut it. Funny stuff.
So I mean, that's just how I mean, I know we're really different there. I mean, like I said, I got Philly, Dallas, New York, Washington, and I know you had it completely different than that. But that's what's fun about doing these things, man. We all see things differently. What's going on, Alex?
And like we said, we'll see what happens when the dust settles at the end of the year, right? Because again, we looked at as a whole. I still keep my rankings kind of where my rankings are, even though I think James Winston is better than certain quarterbacks on the list. But because Jaden Daniels and Dak they do things that are so exponentially good in terms of without them, their team doesn't function. Whereas I don't know if Jalen Hurts goes down, do I think their team is not able to lean on like a Barkley or somebody else? So I kind of put that weight into it, like who's more valuable, who's the most valuable on their teams. And then of course I added the backups as well. So that's where my rankings land, and I won't be surprised if we come back to this at the end of the year and say and do re-rankings of like how each quarterback did or whatever. We'll see this ranking. One of these rankings is going to play out like that because I do believe, like you said, Dak Prescott is going to be a good quarterback, and Jaden Daniels will be. And we'll find out if the Eagles with the new offensive coordinator. And that's another thing I also put in. I factored in the offensive coordinators as well with what they're going on too as a whole. And I just think the unknown for the Eagles is really, like I told you guys last week, the trend. He doesn't do well. That offense doesn't do well with a coordinator that doesn't have any experience. And so I'm just wondering, and he doesn't have, no offense to Jalen Hurts, he doesn't have the magic that Jaden Daniels has, right? So if something goes wrong, Jaden Daniels has that magic. You know what I mean? So, but anyways.
What's up, Tudo? Salute, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you popping in, Tudo.
No.
And hope you have a good time in West Virginia too, Alex, man. Enjoy that, man. Enjoy training camp. Let us know what's going on, man. But Adam, let's get to the running backs, man. Let's hear how you got the running back situation flowing.
Well, Eagle fans, I'll put you guys number one. Your running back room is pretty solid. The second ranking I would have would be the Cowboys at number two. You can't knock what Javonte Williams did last week and last year, and their overall running backs with Malik Davis, I think, is still there, and they also have Jaden Blue, who last year didn't play much, but he's still in the mix. So you want to make sure that he is there, and then I put the Commanders at three, just because I think the Commanders have a lot of solid running backs who can do things like Rashad White, and they have Jerome Ford. They also got the Allen kid, Katron Allen from Penn State that you like, and that I think is going to be a solid player as well. And then I put the Giants last. Well, I like Cam Scatterboot and Tyrone Tracy. I just don't see the experience the same way in the run game, because I just think the talent for the Commanders and the other teams is a little bit deeper at that room. And even, I hate to say this, even with the rumors going into Giant camp where they're possibly searching for a new back, I do believe that this ranking is pretty substantial in terms of the running back position. Does it mean they're not going to be good players? No, that doesn't mean they're not going to be good. What I'm just doing is, overall, I'm looking at the talent on their rooms, and I believe the one that has the most talent collectively is the Eagles. The next one, obviously, is the Cowboys, and like I said, the Commanders have upgraded their running back room since last year with Korski Merritt, and obviously, like I said, Jerome Ford and Rashad White, who I think is a solid pickup for them, and not for nothing, Jeremy Nichols, who they also have. So, and then, like I said, Allen. So they have a lot of talent at back, where the Giants have Cam Scatterboot, Tyrone Tracy, and then like Devin Singletary barely gets talked about. The fact that the Giants are even considering trying to get a running back tells you all you need to know about the room. So those are my rankings.
Well, all right. Tudo here, he says, Big Brother Mac, I'll be the only solution to all Giants D problems, mate. Please suit me up in Giants gears, and I'll promise you opposing quarterbacks, O-lines won't walk off the pitch on their own power, mate. OC's nightmares. Good stuff too, though, man. But my running back rankings. See, once again, I mean, we're not going to be fully aligned here. Once again, at the top, we absolutely are, though. Number one, I do definitely have Philly at number one in this category as well. Like I said, the way I did mine came with my calculations is I just did it starter heavy, like as far as a lot of value into the starter. But I mean, like I said, I still consider the rest of the room as well. After that, but Saquon Barkley is so, to me, far and ahead above any other running back in this division. Like it's Saquon Barkley, and then the next best running back in this division is nowhere near Saquon Barkley. So to me, that just there kind of just a trump card for the Eagles, man, and making them number one. But at number two, I got the boys in blue, the New York Football Giants. I just, in totality, I think I like the room. I like the Cam Scatterboo, Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary mix. I think that's a strong trio of running backs overall. I mean, none of them have proven to be like, individual standouts so much as far as what they are collectively, though. I mean, Tracy coming off of 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and overall yards, total yards. Cam Scatterboo last year, what did he have? He had about maybe 6 touchdowns or something like that, 5 or 6 touchdowns before the injury. And he only really probably started really played substantially in pretty much about maybe, 4 or 5 games. I can't remember exactly offhand, but so he was showing some really good things as well. Like he was poised to have a really, really big rookie campaign. And Devin Singletary, just another wily vet, man. That I think just the fact that Devin Singletary is your third running back, to me, I think that's a win. I think most teams would sign up to have a guy like Devin Singletary be their third back. I think so. That's kind of where my logic was there. And then Dallas, Javonte Williams is who I got coming up third. Javonte Williams did come off a very good season, and if I was ranking these individually as well as just the starters, he would be number 2 behind Saquon Barkley. But the rest of the room they've proven nothing. I mean, Jaden Blue showed me nothing last year. Malik Davis, Phil Maffa, whoever that is, I don't know. I just don't know what to expect out of the rest of the room there behind Javonte Williams there. And then in Washington, kind of a little bit of the same, man. We saw, Bill, and then they did have Rashard White, which, like what me and Adam we were talking the other day, kind of did agree that Rashard White, Tyrone Tracy are kind of like similar guys, you know what I mean? And I get that, but I'm still not sure what Bill really is. He did show me some stuff last year. He had some good games, some flashes, and here and there, but I'm still not 100% there. And Katron Allen is a rookie that has to prove it. I do like him a lot. I like him a lot coming out of Penn State, but he still has to prove it. And Jerry McNichols, another guy, he's another good, rotational guy as well. But I just see the room overall as right now on paper as the weakest room overall for me personally. That's just for what I see. What is going on, AK? Appreciate you popping in, man.
It's been a while, my man. Hit me up when you get a chance. Love to talk to you.
But that's how I had. So that's how I had. I mean, I got Philly, New York, Dallas, Washington, and I don't want to seem like everybody think that I'm just shitting on the Washington Commanders. Got them last in the first 2 categories, but look, it just is this is how I see it. I'm not a genius. I might not be right. Hey, as you see, me and Adam are not necessarily fully aligned here, but at the same time, that's just the way I see it. He sees it the way he sees it. That's why we do this. Let's see, Tudo says Big Mac 6'5", 285, 8% body fat, healthy as a young, hungry lion who would terrorize the entire NFL league, mate. And AK said he'd been calling you, man. So says pick up the phone, Adam.
Well, listen, man, I've been home. Trust me, I've been home. If you know my situation going on, I've been home. So feel free to give me a call.
All right. Well, let's get to the move over to the wide receivers, I suppose, man. I think this is easy to know who's going to be at the top of both of our lists here, but let's talk about the wide receivers in the NFC East, man. The wide receiver rooms.
Well, you know me, and I'm the same OG with Bent Low Key. I'm going to go with the Cowboys number one because they have two bona fide number ones starting, right? And this now is where it gets tricky. The next tier of receivers because collectively, if you could just use the two top guys in the Cowboys and they're better than predominantly the league, let alone the NFC East.
Yeah.
When they're so like what Max said about with Barkley, they're so far ahead, more talented than the other groups that it's really hard to rank the other three teams because they're very similar to me. And here's why: they all have a bona fide number one, and then they're still looking for that number two receiver on every team. But if you were to put it out right now, I'm probably going with the Giants at two with a healthy Malik Neighbors and the Darnell Mooney. I think that's better than the Eagles with Devontae Smith, who I'll put number three because I like Devontae Smith and what he does. There's a bigger question mark at their wide receiver position. I know a lot of people were talking about Natavius Wicks or whomever that was they got with the trade from Green Bay, but I do believe I'll put Mooney slightly ahead and the rest of the receiving core is slightly ahead there just because of sheer talent. And then, of course, the Giants also have another guy named Darius Slayton, who I think is better than most of the backups on everybody else's team. So then my fourth team would be the Commanders. Again, they have Terry McLaurin, and they're still searching for number two. Now, the caveat is with the Commanders because, ladies and gentlemen, it is early on in the still in the off season in terms of roster building. There's a possibility that Stephon Diggs and or Brandon Ayuk could walk through that door for them if they decide to go that route, and that could change these rankings. But for right now, I have them in the fourth spot.
Here we go again. Yes, I definitely have Dallas up at the top. At the top is same, like Adam just said. Same analogy with the Saquon Barkley thing. Just you got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and then it's a big gap between who's next. But it's just a big gap. Those guys, just those two alone, just the strength of those two alone, there's no way you can not put Dallas at the top here in the wide receiver category. Number two, I actually had the Philadelphia Eagles here at number two with Devontae Smith and Dontavian Wicks, who, yeah, I mean, you know, he's nothing special or nothing great, but at the same time, I mean, he got some game. And then Mekhi Lemon is a guy who I just think is going to come in and I think he's going to, you know, once he gets his feet wet, man, I think he's going to be a problem. I really believe that young man's going to be a problem. Hollywood Brown, you add a Hollywood Brown into the mix, into the rest of their room. You got guys like Hollywood Brown as well. You can add in there. I mean, it's overall, I just think I put them, like Adam said, this is kind of like throwing darts at the board because after, like, Dallas was the clear-cut top, and then the rest of these teams are kind of, you know, have things you can nitpick at. With that being said, I gave Washington the number 3 spot, man.
Wow.
I did, man. I just, obviously, Scary Terry, but then, you know, Luke McCaffrey, Antonio Williams, Treylon Burks, De'Ami Brown, even got Van Jefferson down here on there in this receiver room. I mean, once again, not necessarily names that you're like, oh my God, wow. But, and they drafted Jalen Lane, another guy that I was kind of digging in the draft as well this past year. So I just think that's overall, like I said, this is just kind of like whatever at this point. Like I said, Dallas and then everybody else, period. But and then obviously the New York Giants I got coming up in the. I mean Malik Neighbors obviously is that guy, but after that, just not sure, man. I'm just not sure.
To me, Mooney produced in Atlanta and he produced in Chicago, right? And then you have Darius Slayton, who we all know has produced. So those top three guys right there, and then you bring in Fields. I just think and you also have Calvin Austin. I just think there's a little bit more talent than a bunch of the journeymen that they have on the Eagles. No offense to them. I mean, Van Jefferson, Dante Wicks, like we're not talking about guys that have eclipsed 1,000 yards, whereas Mooney has and so has. But this is your list. I'm just
I
telling
mean,
you.
yeah, maybe it's just because it's just me being an angry Giants fan that's seen such bad wide receiver play, pretty much like so in such inconsistent wide receiver play, I should say, that maybe it's just hard for me to put them in front of anybody. But that's just kind of how I got it. I mean, hopefully they'll prove me wrong. I mean, we did add Malachi Fields, but at the same time, yet to see him what he can do either. Hoping for the best. But we'll see, man. I mean, you got like the old veterans in the room: Odell Beckham, Braxton Berrios, Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, yeah, but it's weird looking at the depth chart and seeing Odell Beckham's name like in the third on the depth chart and shit like that. It's just weird to see that, but it is what it is, man. We'll see.
Oh, we
see,
forgot about Odell. See, you didn't even look at Odell. He's even better than the journeyman there, and I don't even like Odell for having played for 2 years. So I'm just saying, like, you know,
I mean,
with those veterans, you can't
you're trying to sway me. You're almost swaying me.
Look, what Neighbors did, you forget what Neighbors did. That season was amazing, right? So you put him up there. He's a bona fide number one. He was in the top 100. I think he's slightly overall. The room has slightly more talent than the Eagles because if you had AJ Brown and you had, let's say, Malachi Fields, I'd probably put them at number 2 because they're borderline just as good as the Cowboys. That's how high up I'd put them. But because they lost him and we're in that trio, I just look at all the other guys. If we're constructing the room together like we have, we're kind of looking at the overall talent. And the same thing with the Commanders running back situation. They have more running backs that I've seen produce more so than guys that I like. Hollywood Brown, great. I love Hollywood Brown. His name is cool, but he hasn't done shit. You know what I mean? Like he couldn't even make it on the Ravens, who have no receivers. Dante Wicks, great. He's great, but he's a backup that played because Christian Watkins was down for 8 games and they lost Tyler Kraft, right? Darius Slayton, who I hate, I feel his talent is just as talented as those guys as well. And then you throw in Odell Beckham Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, and Braxton Berrios, not to mention some of the other guys that are on the roster that we have. I just think right now out the gate, they have a bit, for me, stronger talent that I can say, ooh, this guy is more intriguing. Whereas even the Commanders, I read an article the other day where they're talking about Terry McLaurin going, yeah, somebody will step up at the number 2 receiver spot. He don't even know who's going to be number 2. So overall, I feel more comfortable with the Giants situation with their top 2 or 3 guys than I do the rest of the other 2 teams that are kind of in the same mix.
Those are very valid and very fair points, man. I just think after the Cowboys, everything the rest is so mediocre compared to the Cowboys that unfortunately
it's kind of hard to compare, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But Tyrone Hall, man, appreciate you popping in, man. Once again, salute to the chat. Just finished looking at camp previews on SNY. Shout out to Tudo. He said he's excited about the potential of the wide receiver room. I got you from Tudo. So let's get to another next positional group here. How do you see the tight ends, man? Adam?
The tight ends?
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
Well, that is a very unique room. So if you go across the board, I would have to put the Giants with talent over them. Isaiah Likely is better than most of the tight ends they got going on. Then I'd probably have to put I would let me just before I do all this. I think the Giants are first because Isaiah Likely. I don't want to miss anybody on the other teams when I've been looking at them because I did study them. And the tight ends is always a unique position, but I just want to make sure that a few of the guys that I'm speaking of are still either on the team or not on the team. What the heck is going on right now on my computer? But I would put the Giants at one with Isaiah Likely. I guess it's a toss-up for me for the rest of the teams because the Commanders don't really have anybody. I mean, I do like the guy that they got out of uh, Maryland with the Tennessee Titans. So he's pretty good, but they don't have anybody that stands out. The Eagles' current roster, I mean, they still have Dallas Goedert, so I guess I can put them. I guess I'll put the Eagles at 2 for me because I just think talent wise, they have 2. I mean, I do like they have Goddard. They got the kid Stowers. I like him coming out of college. But so I'll put them at number 2 because Dallas Goedert, he has produced. I'll put at number 3 the Cowboys because I like Jake Ferguson, but their other tight ends haven't done much in terms of production. And then I'll put the Commanders last. Look at the Cowboys. Princeton fanked Jake Ferguson. I'm putting him up there because he's good, right? You have Luke Schumacher, who hasn't really done much. I mean, you could say Michael Triggs because he is a player that we have heard about coming into the draft out of USC and Ole Miss and Baylor. You could say, okay, that guy, but he's an undrafted free agent. He hasn't really done much. So Ferguson. Because Ferguson's the only one that stands out. And then, of course, the Commanders have nobody. They lost Zach Ertz last year. They don't even have really anybody this year. Like I said, they have the kid from Maryland.
Barely know who these people are.
Exactly. Look at their team. Like the guy that I'm telling you about, Ching Owokwanu, can't even pronounce his name. Then you have Ben Sinnott, who they had high hopes for, but everybody else is a fucking bum. John Bates, Lawrence Cager, Anthony Frisker, I'm on a milk. They're on a milk box. I'm looking at them who are these people? You gotta get the programs at the game, and you have to kind of look at the back of the glossary to find out who these people are. That's what I'm doing with the Commanders. So I have to put them last, and the Cowboys, I have to put them last because they don't have anybody else besides Ferguson. I think Dallas Goedert is slightly better than Ferguson, so that's where my rankings are. But the Giants, they have Isaiah Likely, who is better than anybody that they've got in the rest of the NFC East, and Theo Johnson, who I like and I think probably will be either a number 2 tight end on any of these teams that I just mentioned.
Well, Adam, guess what?
We're a tie. We're together.
For the first time, we are fully aligned in the rankings. I have them ranked exactly the same way. The New York Giants tight end room to me is definitely the strongest overall tight end room in this division. I probably would put Goddard a slight edge over Likely just because of his career accomplishments thus far. I think Likely might be able to, prove that the other way. You know what I mean? As the season, when we get into the season, hopefully he does. But as of right now, just off of Likely still up to this point has been a career backup, unfortunately, behind Mark Andrews. He's looked amazing.
He had a starting tight end in front of him. That was good.
Yeah, he's looked amazing in his he's looked really good with his opportunities as well. So don't get it twisted. But if I was ranking them individually just by the starters, I probably would have Goddard ahead of Likely. But as far as the room in totality, I do have the New York Giants tight end room as the superior tight end room. Like you said, Theo Johnson, a guy that, he could start on a lot of other teams in this league. And he's definitely a hell of a number 2 tight end for anybody. Would welcome him to be their number 2 tight end. So there's not a team in this league that wouldn't welcome him to be their number 2 tight end. So I think the New York Giants tight end room is in really good shape. And then I do have the Eagles second as well. Like you said, I think just Dallas Goedert. And I also like the potential of the rookie at Eli Stowers. So, and then Grant Calcaterra has shown us a few things along the way too, with his limited opportunities as well. A guy like that, Dallas, I agree with you 1,000%. After Jake Ferguson, it's what else? That room doesn't have much else going on. And then the no names of the Washington Commanders, you don't even know who those guys are. So they're going to be looking for tight ends come the end of training camp. I can guarantee that they're going to look to be trying to find something that slips to them down on the waiver wire. I can guarantee that team they're strapped at that position right now. But just hit the comments real quick. AK says Adam likely over Dallas. Okay, I love you, Adam, but that's definitely a homer pick.
Well, that's because of the room, my friend. You have nobody past Dallas Goddard. If you want to talk pound for pound, obviously Dallas probably Goddard has a better talent than him, and has done it more, right? But if you look at Likely and Theo, and you add Manhurst in his blocking, who's a solid blocking, those three tight ends are named tight ends. You have Dallas Goddard and Ben Calcaterra, who yes is solid, but not the reason you're number two is because we know Ben Calcaterra, right? After Jake Ferguson, they got nobody else after Jake Ferguson. And like Max said, there's a milk box on tight end at the Commanders because they're missing a tight end. Like you look at their tight end room, and that's what you wanted to go into with the offseason. That's it. I mean, again, the kid from Tennessee is not bad. I do like him, so I can't say that he's not. But compared to the other teams, he's done nothing. I mean, I know him because I followed his career and I wanted him as a Giant when he was in the draft. And he had a 85-yard touchdown or something like that in a game, and he's done some things for the Titans, but not enough to warrant like jumping Ferguson or Dallas.
All right, and Nathan McCartney, UF5DX. Interesting name, brother. I like our wide receiver options, but let's talk about how dominant our running game is going to be with Scat Tracy and Pat Ricard. O-line has really improved, I think. We hope so. We definitely hope so.
Mac is getting bullish. I love it.
Said plus we got Eli. AK says plus we got Eli Stowers. We got to see what he ends up being. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you do. Right. But that's the thing. We got to see what he ends up being.
Exactly. we both agree that we like him, right? And talent wise, that's why we said you're number two, because again, talent wise, we like him in the draft and his talent. The Cowboys don't have an Eli Stowers. Now they do have that Triggs guy that was a bit of a tight end that people were talking about, but again, he hasn't done anything and he's yet to be determined. And the Commanders don't even really have anybody worth to talk about. I keep bringing up that guy's name I can't pronounce, but because I know him from the tight ends and my research during the drafts. But he do you really know him, Mac? Do you know him like that? Do you know what he's done? Exactly. If you didn't follow that guy, knowing he came out of Maryland as a tight end, you wouldn't know he existed, right? And because of some of the things that I do when I research and I look at tight ends, I just happen to know him and I followed his career here and there. And he was one of the guys I kind of kept an eye on in free agency. If the Giants didn't get one of these guys, I liked what his skill set was. So if you're looking at the rooms, this is what me and Mac did. We looked at the rooms, okay, not just the individual players, where if we were comparing Likely to Goddard, obviously Goddard has the ring and has done it longer and has been a starter over Likely. And now Likely gets to prove if he's really an upper echelon tight end. But Theo Johnson, who I think improved last season, even though he didn't have a lot of drops from year one to year two, is a solid, and I do believe the second best tight end on anybody's team. Like you can't name me a better second tight end on anybody else's team in the NFC East. I could be wrong, Mac.
No, you're not. You're not wrong, Adam. You are absolutely correct with that. Theo Johnson would be a solid number 2 tight end for any team around the league. Period. Any team, like right. Not just
so. I mean, that's where I am doing this. So when you look at our rankings, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it as a group, not just the individual starter, right? We can, and there'll be a show maybe next week where we rank the individual players position by position, meaning like what we feel the top receivers are in the league and use their starters. But right now it's training camp and there's a ton of players and a ton of things that can happen. Right now, the rooms that I feel are the strongest are the rankings I gave. So that's I'm just letting you guys know so you have an idea of where our thought processes are when we come to these conclusions.
What is going on to my guy, Joe Ferry's in the chat?
Joe.
I am not getting bullish. Okay, brother, I'm not getting bullish. He said, wait, is that Anthony Joshua opponent last weekend on your shirt, man? That's Fred Sanford, man. So what's good, Joe Ferris? Hey, Tyrone. Uh, uh, so okay, my bad. You're ranking on depth, not starters. Got it.
Well, we're ranking on the entire room, so the starters plus the depth. Yes.
Neighbors running is the best news today. That was some good news. It's good to see that he's a little further along than I expected. Still would hold my breath for being ready for game one, though. I mean, but hey, at the same time, maybe you never know. But that was some really big news today out of Giants camp. It says the first day of camp, super boring. It seems by design, though. Yeah, Jackson Dart had a day, had a really good day, and the offense looked good overall. Is basically what I got out of the first day. But I still can't wait to see him get some pads on.
Yes.
So we can really see we got to see what the linemen, we got to see what them trenches can do, man.
Yes.
Because we haven't got a good look at that yet.
I can't wait for the 9-on-7 drills.
Yes.
When they really hit the pads and do the downhill running. But with that being said, and we'll talk about this later, think about that when what we just talked about in the run game when you're going to make your roster. Because when we're talking about rosters here, that's going to factor. Blocking is going to factor in on roster decisions and special teams. So think about that, Giant fans. I know you love the Odell piece, but if the top four guys are Neighbors, Fields, Mooney, Johnson, and Slayton, the top five, you got to think, does that sixth guy matter? And my thought process here early, and we can get into it in a little bit, but I think the Giants will keep five, and then there'll be a practice squad player because you can keep veterans on the practice squad. That'll be their sixth receiver. But we'll get into that a little bit more detailed down the road. But I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind when you are doing your own little roster checks and reading about these things that are going on in camp. Think about that little element, the running element, the blocking element, and the special teams element of how the offense is going to work. That will factor in to the decisions that are being made.
Well, let's get to the trenches, man. Let's get to the offensive line, man. And how you see these offensive lines ranking, stacking up in the NFC East, Adam, these offensive line rooms.
So I'm going to go with one with the Eagles. The Eagles, again, get number one. So there you go, AK. They have two categories they've been number one in so far in these rankings on offense. I gave them number one because they've done it long enough and we know who they are. And they don't have a drop-off even with their backups that come in and how well they're coached. The second one I would go with is tough because it really is a toss-up in the rest of the teams. But I'm going to go, and it hurts me to say, I want to go to the Cowboys at number two just because overall I think their line is pretty solid. Those guards are probably the best guard-center duo in the league with those two interior. Now their tackles are a little suspect. They're still waiting on Guyton, and they're going to have an open competition over there, and then Tyler Smith that they have out there and stuff. But I think that is a solid pick for me at number two. Now, number 3 and 4 is hard because when you look at the two teams that are left, I like what the Giants have done this offseason in terms of their offensive line. I do think that it's greatly improved. But Laramie Tunsil is a pretty good player, and they have a solid couple other guys on the Commander team that I just think are slightly better than some of the pieces that we have right now. If we're looking overall, Malinois is a starter, right, for the Giants, but they have Sam Cosme, who's got a pretty good. They have they have Laramie Tunsil, they have Andrew Wiley, they have some veterans over there. So I just think they're a little slightly stronger than the Giants right now. Don't crush me because of this. They're both razor thin. It's very razor thin going in. I like what the Giants have done, but you got John Runyon, who I don't think is going to be the starter, and you have Malinois, who's going to be the starter. I can't put him over guys who I've seen play and have had a longer tenure. So I would go with Commanders 3 and the Giants 4 at this point.
Almost was a fully in line there, Adam. We were almost fully in line there once again. But do have one. We are going to have one slight difference here. I do have Philly at the top once again, but I have Dallas number two, but I have Dallas a lot closer. I think it was tough. I was really thinking hard if I wanted to even put Dallas above Philly right now because the
That's half
Dallas
of
is
the
the
adjustment.
interior of Dallas's offensive line is absolutely phenomenal. I mean that's a phenomenal group. The two guards in the center there, BB, Tyler Smith, and Tyler Booker there. That is as good as it gets. Like you said, but that's where the difference did come with me with the Eagles and gave the Eagles the edge was the tackles right there because Guyton is still a little bit to prove there, but I think those guys are legit, and I think that once the season gets underway, you might be feeling a different way about. I might be feeling a different way about this because I think Philly and Dallas are pretty close, pretty neck and neck, in my opinion. I think because you got to also weigh in the factor of these guys on Philly, the Mailatas, the Lane Johnson. These guys they're not young men anymore. They're not spring chickens, man. They're getting up there. They got a lot of miles on them, man. So but I still give them that. I still do give them the nod, man. And then I put the Giants number three actually, and the reason why I put the Giants number three is because you do add Francis Miano, who has to prove himself first, and I agree with that, Adam, 100%. I look at just the performance of these two offensive lines from a season ago, and I believe the New York Giants was definitely a better group a season ago and learn. I hear everything you're saying about Laramie Tensel, and I agree. But we also got a guy named Andrew Thomas. I
Well,
think we have and Jermaine Luminor. I think we have a couple of really good, solid offensive tackle. We have one great offense. Our left tackle, I think, Andrew Thomas is great. Jermaine Luminor is really, really good. So, I mean, if Maui Noah works out, if Smith continues to take another step in the right direction, not so sure. I'm kind of with you with John running too. Not really feeling him so much, but we'll see what happens in training camp. And then, like I said, with as far as and then I just only and I really only kind of gave the Giants the edge here just because I just think as a unit, even a season ago, was just they played better as a unit than what we saw from the Washington Commanders a season ago, and that's kind of my reasoning only. That's really my only real reasoning for that for giving them the edge over the Commanders.
I think the reason I gave the Commanders a little bit of the edge because their interior is a little better. I think in terms of like right now, I think they have a better center and their guards are slightly better with Malinois not being an unknown. I have to drop them down slightly. The only other thing that I will say is the Commanders did have a lot of injuries in and out of their lineup. So when their lineup is fully healthy, right now, I think it's slightly better than the Giants. Again, these things could change, like you said, during the season. Who knows what happens? And like we said, folks, we're probably going to re-rank these things and try to keep a note on this show on July 29th and come back and say, hey, let's see what we did in July 29th and then go to the end of the year and see how those rankings kind of panned out. But my slight edge was only when healthy. I think the line is slightly better. Now we're talking razor thin here. I'm not saying like the Commanders line is dominant. Or they're the hogettes that you had back in when the Commanders were really rip roaring. I'm just saying a few little factors here, question marks here. JMS I still think is a bit of a question mark. And then I have John Runyon, who I don't know if he fits what the offense philosophy is. That's where I'm kind of leaning there. And it doesn't mean I don't like what the Giants have done. I'm just giving you my overall perspective on that.
Joe says, if CC dominates, it changes a lot. But yeah, you got to say most our offensive linemen is average until they prove it. I mean, pretty much. That's pretty much
Right.
it.
And again, if you look at the Giants off the line, they've done some good things. Illuminor is a solid player. I like him at tackle, but eventually I think he's going to be replaced with one of these young guys. I think the Giants' depth I'm very excited about, to be honest with you. But a lot of it's unknown, right? J.C. Davison I'm excited about. He was my sleeper pick to start over John Runyon. There's Kubis, who could be the eventual starter for JMS. You have Marcus Membo, who I think could play guard or tackle at some point. I just think Andrew Thomas is silent. killer is really brings his team up. But like you said, those guys I mentioned prior to Andrew Thomas, a lot of them have question marks, and even Illuminor, who came off a bad couple games towards the end of the year, he still has a lot to prove in my eyes. I'm glad he got the contract, and I'm glad he's here, but his play wasn't the play it was the year prior, where he was pretty much a standout tackle on the right side. This time it was a little bit dipped. So there's, it's razor thin. Now, again, guys go down, this could all change. So, well, let's head to the defensive side of the football.
Absolutely. And we're going to start right back in the trenches up front, the defensive linemen, man. As far as the guys with their hands in the dirt, not edge rushers, you know what I mean, Adam, just the defensive,
You're talking about the overall D line, D tackles and D ends.
Yeah.
So I guess where I would start right now, when I look over these teams, I would have to say right now, I would have to give the edge slightly to the Eagles as number one, just because they have Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and a lot of their interior guys are pretty good. I mean, look what they just did with Jalen Carter. They paid him a lot of money, so they believe in him. I just think they have a lot more depth and proven players than the rest of the teams. The Giants, Cowboys. Their line was atrocious last year. I don't think it got. I guess you could put them at number two because they have Quinn Williams. He's pretty much a beast. People don't like him, but he's not as good. He's him and Dexter Lawrence were always 1A, 1B to me. Like Quinn Williams is good, Dexter Lawrence is good. I could take either one of them. So Quinn Williams, I'll put him there, and that kind of puts the Cowboys at number two over the rest of the teams. And then I would have to put the Giants at 3 and the Commanders at 4 in terms of overall interior linemen, because I just don't think I think Kenny Clark and like I said, Quinn Williams are better than the Commanders got. And then I have to have DJ Reader, and I think it's Shelby Harris and Darius Alexander and a few other guys I think are also better than what's out there. So that's how I'm going. I'm going Giants 3 and the Commanders 4.
All right, Joe Ferry says, does AC, do you think Reader and Harris are enough to be decent?
Yes, I think they're going to do what you ask them to do. They're going to be run stuffers. Are you going to get the pass rush out of them? No, but will they clog up the middle? Yes. Now, barring, again, these are older players, so D tackles that are older, tend to drop off a little bit. And DJ Reader's play, while not great, he's still adequate. And I think he's going to be able to fulfill that spot. I still think it's a glaring need that the Giants are going to have to address in the draft next year. I do like what they're going to have with Darius Alexander as well. People forget about him. I think his development, I like him. Shelby Harris, we obviously know he has some tread left on the tire. So I think I don't think they're going to be gangbusters, but I think they'll be able to hold up enough where the Giants front seven or Giants back seven and ends can do their job, right? So I do like the DJ Reader signing, and I hope he does good. But with that being said, I have to give the slight edge to the Cowboys with Kenny Clark and Quinn Williams, and then Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Obviously, that team, I put them number 1 in the interior, and then the Giants 3, and then the Commanders. Well, they have Darius Payne. They don't really have money. And I mean, they have Kinlaw as well, who's talented, but didn't really live up to his draft stock last year. And if I go by last season, he didn't play that well, so I'm going to put them at 4th.
Well, all right. At the top, man, taking it from the top for me, man, I'm right there with you, fully aligned at the top with you, Philly, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. To me, that's nobody else has it like that as good as they do right now, as far as those big guys in the middle of their defense. Then I'm also right there with you with Dallas 2nd, and it was basically like the exact same thought process. I just looked, Kenyon Williams, Kenny Clark, you know what I mean? I just think that they, had that, I think they're just a little more talented than what the Giants or the Commanders are putting out there. So I put them 2nd. But also Here's where we do have a disagreement a little bit. I put Washington third, man.
Really?
I did. Uh because kind of like based off kind of what you said as well about Reader and Shelby Harris and stuff like that. Like these guys are what they are. You know what I mean? You know what you're. I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get from them. That's it's just no, and it's fine. Do your job, and that's what we brought. That's what they got brought in for anyway, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But it's limited, but it's gonna as long as but it can be effective as long as they do what we need them to do, and that's stop like you said, plug up the middle of the defense, plug occupy bodies, stop the run. That's what those guys are here for. Darius Alexander, I did like what I saw from him late in the season last year. I like what I saw. I like the progression he made, and he's had a good off season as well. So hopefully he can bring that into the regular season, hit the ball running, hit the floor running this season and right from the beginning and be a factor. But we got to see that first. And so I just kind of just gave Washington the edge with Kinlaw. I know it's coming off a disappointing year and Deron Payne, and I just gave him a slight edge. I'm not saying it's by a big margin or anything like that. I just gave him a slight edge over the New York Giants.
Well, again, I like Darius Slayton. When I look at the Commanders' D tackles and D ends overall, there's nobody that really stands out to me like that's better. I mean, we still have Chauncey Golston, who's better than some of the guys they have out there. You know, we have DJ Reader, we have the guy that they got Leak Foe to. We have a lot of big bodies in there that I just think are more talented than a lot of the guys they got there. And it's not that I don't agree with you with Deron Payne. Deron Payne was a promising young tackle back in the day. I just think Kinlaw fell off, and I didn't see much last year. But again, it's only slight, so we'll see. That's why we play the games, folks.
Absolutely. But up here, Joe Ferry says, hey, Mac, your boy AK from last week having a full-on brain aneurysm, psychotic meltdown after Eagles gave Jalen Carter $40 million today. I'm pretty sure AK will be all right, man. I think he'll be perfectly fine, brother. Hey, brother Giants fan. I have what's going on, JBX? Good to see you, man. Hey, brother Giants fan. I have a question about our Giants. I'm looking forward to seeing my Giants stop the run. Do you agree? Look, I'm hoping they can. They brought in, that's what, like we were just talking about, they brought in DJ Reader, guys like that, Shelby Harris. That's what they brought those guys in for, man. And we're going to be dependent on those guys. Darius Alexander, Tremaine Edmonds, Arvell Reese, those are the guys we're going to be dependent on to be able to keep that run game in check, man, for the most part. So hopefully, things can work out. So the guaranteed dollars was crazy. Says might be looking forward to 2027. JBX says, we here, bro. And AC said, worst D line in the East.
Listen, the Commanders don't do much for me, in terms of just getting excited. So, and don't get me wrong. Maybe Kinlaw shows up. Maybe this new defensive coordinator they got knows how to light a fire under his ass, and he becomes a player that they hoped when they got him from the 49ers. But he hasn't shown it much. Not saying anything because both defenses were absolutely atrocious. Well, three defenses were absolutely atrocious in this division last year. But I'm just saying overall talent, grouping guys together, I just think they have slightly more guys who have proven better. DJ Reader and Shelby Harris have done it more and at a higher clip than the rest of the guys in the Commanders.
Yeah, Joe says here, Commanders are very unsexy, but it feels like something could be there. And I kind of agree. Jaden Daniels, I think it's just really going to come down to Jaden Daniels, I feel like, with that. Because I think he's a really special talent, man. If they keep him healthy, I think that kid can still lead that team very, very far, even with all the unsexiness they got going on over there, man. You know what I mean? I think that highly of Jaden Daniels. I really do. I think that kid really has something, man.
And I don't disagree. I just think right now, Jaden Daniels isn't playing a game, right? So we can only go off the paper that I'm looking at. And on the paper that I'm looking at, I have no idea who half the guys are on the Commanders paper right now. And the guys that I do know that I've seen haven't really lived up to their paychecks and their draft statuses. So when DJ Reader, he's been part of a good defense with the Lions and was a run stuffer with the Lions. So what's up?
What's going on, Chad? Thanks for popping in, man. He says, "What's up, Adam and Mac?" I figured I'd pop in and say, "What's up to you guys? Got to go to bed early. My family and I are heading to Tennessee in the morning at 4 a.m. We have a safe trip, my brother.
Yes. I hope safe travels, my friend.
Enjoy yourself, man. Let's get back to it, Adam, man. Let's get to the outside linebackers, man. The outside linebackers, edge rushers, so to speak, pretty much outside linebackers,
This
edge
is
guys.
where I put the New York Giants at number one because I just believe in their edge group. Everybody else's edge group is kind of really like a work in progress. Nobody has any real name or talent there. So the Giants have Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and our favorite guy KT. But he's better than what the rest of the NFC East. So as a 3-man rotation, I got to give them that. If you sprinkle in Arvell Reese there too, I don't really want to. I think he's a better linebacker, but those 3 guys are better than head and shoulders better than what the Commanders got. Head and shoulders better than what the Eagles got, and head and shoulders better than the Cowboys. But I put the Cowboys at number 2 because they have a little bit more talent there. I would put the Eagles at number 3, and the Commanders, they ain't got nobody to rush the passer. I mean, they signed that guy from the Patriots, Levon Chason, I think his name is, but he's still a work in progress. So I'll put them at 4, but they're not that much better than what they got. But I just think that's how I'm ranking them, just sheer talent-wise. The Cowboys brought in a few guys this year. They brought in Rashad Gary. They got the kid they got out of Boston College last year. Azariki is his name. And then they brought in Malachi Lawrence, who's also was a top guy in the draft. So they have some talent there. And then like I said with the Commanders don't really. I mean, I like Le'Veon Chason, but outside of that, they have nobody that's like screams anything. I mean, at least the Eagles, when you look at their outside linebacker situation, you still have Nolan Smith, who's solid. You have they got Jonathan Grenard, who's pretty good as well. So, with Jonathan Grenard right there, you got to add him in. That's what puts them over the Commanders. But the Commanders ain't got nobody. They got nobody. And the only reason I put the Cowboys slightly above is just because I like Azariki and I like Rashawn Gary, what they got. But you could argue that the Eagles and Cowboys are equally ranked. So those are my teams: Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders for the O linebackers.
All right. He says here, it says if Reese can swarm all over the run with anticipation, it changes a lot for us. I definitely agree with that.
Yes, but if you're talking about him as an outside linebacker or an inside linebacker, we're doing outside. So I didn't rank him really there. He'll be part of the pass rush if you're looking at it. But if you're talking about overall edges, I just think the Giants have three players that are better than anybody else's second guy on the team
or third guy.
Yes.
JBX here says Abdul Carter is suspect. Reese is way better. What do you think? Can't agree with that. Can't disagree. I mean, I disagree with that. I'm sorry, respectfully, man. Abdul Carter is not suspect at all. No. After Shane Bowen was up out of there last season, once they got rid of him, that Shane Abdul Carter was absolutely looking like a number 3 overall pick. That he was. He was absolutely turned it up and turned it on, man, big time. And I'm excited for what he's going to bring to the table.
AC doing AC things.
Says he is a badass, but he needs supporting guys around him who tackle.
Well, yeah, Arvell Reese. Yeah, we'll get to him in a minute, and we'll break him down. But as far as the outside linebackers goes, I think the misrepresentation of Abdul Carter is about some of the negatives that came out with him. Right, sleeping in meetings, the trying to get Lawrence Taylor's number and things, but he really did have a good last 4 or 5 games of the year when he really turned it on and they really unleashed him. And it also helped that Kayvon Thibodeau went down. I mean, it didn't help Kayvon Thibodeau, but Kayvon Thibodeau going down gave him more snaps. Now, again, this is where this brings up another issue that the Giants have. What do you do with Kayvon Thibodeau? Because if Burns and Carter are healthy, and it's a good problem to have Thibodeau out there, I don't think Thibodeau is going to have the same impact as everybody else thinks. And him being the third guy, you're not going to pay him the money that you want to pay him. I'm sorry, he's going to command, a boatload of money, and he hasn't played up to his draft status to command that boatload of money. But after this season, I have high expectations for Abdul Carter. Do I know if he's going to reach those? I don't know, but if he ends up being what the Robin to Brian Burns' Batman, or the Venom to the Spider-Man that is Brian Burns, we could be talking about a guy like Abdul Carter who we have to pay. So that leaves Kayvon Thibodeau kind of on an island. So, and with Carter starting, I believe he is a starter. I don't know if you think that, Mac, but I think he's earned the job over Kayvon Thibodeau. And that's not a knock on Thibodeau. Just sometimes you lose your job to injury. You put the better player out there, and I think they're going to put more. I think they're going to put him out there all the time.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I think I think they're gonna want to have Kayvon Thibodeau out there on rundowns where you expect the offense to be running the football. I think you're gonna want Kayvon Thibodeau out there in those situations over Abdul Carter. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Abdul Carter adds a little something more to his game coming in a year or two, possibly in that regard. But as of right now, I would think they would want Kayvon Thibodeau on the field, in particular on rundowns for sure. Well, if it's a way to find a way to get all three of them out there on and pass situations, that's ideal. That would be the most ideal, is to be able to throw all three, unleash all three of them at opposing offenses. But let me get to my rankings real quick, man. Let me get to my outside linebacker rankings real quick.
No worries.
And let me go. I'm right there in line with you at the top. New York Giants, not a close second in this division. Here's where I differed a bit. I did go Philly over Dallas here. I put Philly at number 2, and I put Dallas at number 3. The guys in Philly, I mean, Nolan Smith Jr., I think is honestly potentially poised to have a really big year. So I just and then it just and then Jonathan Greenard, I mean, he's a solid guys, and then also some of the depth. Jalix Hunt is a solid depth piece back there as well for the Eagles. And then, like I said, I put Dallas 3rd. Rashawn Gary and Donovan is a Raku. They got Malachi Lawrence as well, depth in the room. James Houston. And then, like you said, I'm right there once again, right with you. Washington, this is like,
they got nobody.
Like, who are these masked men? Well, I mean, like you said, Chason. Obviously, we are familiar.
Yeah, but he's not a marquee guy like a Burns.
He's not that. Yeah, he's not that dude. Yeah, he's definitely not that dude. So that's how I see it. So we're once again, I mean, we're kind of close. Just had a couple small little difference, but I think you can make a case either way. What's going on, Bookends, man? Good to see you, my brother, man. Hope everything's going well with you. And JBX says Tibbs is suspect. I must admit that the players around him is going to benefit him and might lead to the team in sacks. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about leading the team in sacks, because I think Brian Burns and Abdul Carter are just far better pass rushers.
The only way for me to believe is going to be good is he's going to have to play like the 5th overall pick that he is. Because right now, if you're putting him in on rundowns first and like second down, second and long type situations, and you're taking him off the field, 1, I think it becomes predictable for the offense. But 2, that's not what I want a 5th overall pick to do, is come in to stop the run, right? Yeah, as much as the Giants might be stopping the run, that might help the defense. I'm not going to be – I look at it macroly, meaning when this guy does well, will I pay him? I don't think – he's going to I don't think he's going to produce the contract that he's going to command, but that doesn't mean he's not going to ask for the money that he thinks he's worth, right? So I'm not going to. So for me, from what I'm seeing on tape and what they've done with the Giants in their rotation and getting guys in here and adding guys to the pass rush like Arvell Reese, to me, Kayvon Thibodeau is a guy that becomes expendable, especially if a team like the Panthers is willing to throw you a second-round pick for him. Maybe in the 2028 draft, I can part ways and say Kayvon Thibodeau. I'll put it to you this way. The Giants didn't miss Kayvon Thibodeau last year when he was injured. That just goes to show you what I mean, right? And I don't think if he gets injured in camp or anything, the Giants are going to miss a beat with Kayvon Thibodeau off the field. That's just how I feel about it, and that's why I think in the overall grant. Now, is he more talented than the rest of the three teams? Obviously. But that's just where I think sometimes when a guy comes in and gets drafted above you on the third overall pick and is destined for great things with this regime not this regime, but like they put more stock in you. That's just it, man. So I hope Thibodeau can turn it around. I don't see it though, because again, here's another reason why I'll say it before we go on to linebackers. We always say we know what a guy is after 4 years, right? We say about Darius Slayton and all these other guys. Well, we're in year 4 with Kayvon Thibodeau, and he hasn't really done much to flirt with, another double-digit sack season, right? He's been kind of what he is, kind of average. And I don't think putting him in this system is all of a sudden going to unlock him and make him a Madden cheat code. Whereas Brian Burns, I already knew was good in Carolina, came here and is still good here with the Giants. You see what I'm saying? When you watch the overall parallels, that's another reason why. But let's move on to linebackers.
What's going on, Ghost Dog, man? Salute to you too, brother. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Joe Ferry says it was crazy to me that they couldn't get much of anything for Tiz. Maybe another case of us overrating our own players again. So JBX says, I believe that the Giants are going to stop the run and Neighbors is going to be unstoppable. All right, I hope so. I hope that's all correct right there, brother. I hope you're right. I hope you're on the money with that, man. That would be a very beautiful thing for the New York Giants. But let's move it on to the inside linebackers of this NFC East division. Adam, stack them up for me.
Well, I'm going to start with it. I'm going to put this is just you're going to not like this, but this is Homer bias. The Giants are one because I think the three guys they are deploying at linebacker, at the middle linebacker spot with Micah McFadden, Tremaine Edwins, and obviously my favorite pick, Arvell Reese. I think that talent-wise and my biases, I'm putting them at number one. Now, a lot of people may disagree with that, but that's it. Now, with a slight edge, this is going to be a little bit of controversy as well, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think with a slight edge, I'm going to put the Eagles slightly over the Commanders, because I think the Commanders with Sonny Styles and Leo Chanel, and if you want to add Frankie Louvu in there as well, you could argue he's an outside linebacker. But with that grouping, I think they're going to have a solid interior duo. So I put the Eagles at number 2, and then the Commanders at number 3, and then the Cowboys are to me last in the linebacker division. I don't really think they have anybody in the linebacker room that really brings anything to the table in terms of like I'm looking at their linebacker room now. The only guy that I like out of their linebacker room is Demarion Overshown, but the other two teams have two players each, whether it's Leo Chanel and Sonny Styles, whether it's Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell. They're all better. So I had to put the Cowboys at 4. The Eagles, like I said, are number 2, and the Commanders, it's a toss-up between them and the Eagles. But right now I'm going to put Giants 1, Eagles 2, Commanders 3, and Cowboys 4, and the middle linebackers.
All right. Joe Ferris, we are not going to give in-depth analysis on Darius Wilson because he does not deserve any analysis.
You know what he should be? On the bench. That's what he should be. There's an in-depth analysis. He should be the security checker at Walmart. How about that?
That's a good job. That'd be a good job for him. He can probably do that for sure. Playing linebacker in the NFL, that guy struggles. But here we go, man. Middle line, inside linebackers here. Slightly different than the top. I kind of edged out Philly over the Giants only because of the Arvell Reese factor, the rookie factor. This is kind of
Michael McFadden as well. So
I get, and I like McFadden. I'm definitely a McFadden guy. But when I look at the Eagles here, with Zach Bond, Jahad Campbell, I mean Smell Munden Jr., Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I mean, I kind of just I like their depth. I like obviously like their starters. And I like their depth a lot as well. So I kind of just gave them the edge over the Giants, and because I do have the Giants at number 2 here. Jermaine Edmonds, like you said, Arvell Reese, Mike McFadden. It's definitely a very, very solid room. If Arvell Reese is everything we expect him to be, then yeah, I would probably definitely have no problem flip-flopping this.
So there are 2 for you.
So I got them. I do have them at 2. And then I'm lined up with you after that. Is Washington at 3, and then Dallas in the 4th. Like you said, Dallas.
You got nobody.
I mean, they have Overshown, and that's it. I don't know the rest of those guys. So I just had to put them at the bottom. I mean, like you said, Washington, at least they got Louisville, Sonny Styles, Chenault. So interesting room there as well.
Darius Muasau. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that's just like in-depth analysis on Darius Muasau. He stinks.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not in the linebacker room this year. So hopefully we're just going to see him in training camp, and that will be it. Friends, with the Giants split in the NFC East, no more being swept in the division. Some people say we don't have a chance. We got a chance. I think all 4 of these teams have a chance this year.
I keep telling people it's going to be, for me, like the NFC South, where it's going to be a competitive division and anyone can win it, and it might come down to the last week of the year like it did with the Carolina Panthers, because these teams there's a lot of people went over the schedule. There's a lot of tough teams on the schedule, right? But if you split with your division, let's say the Giants go 3-3, then you've got to win a couple more games outside of that to get into the playoffs or in the race. But I don't think that the Eagles have, and I could be wrong. Maybe they come out as a powerhouse again. But talent-wise, right now on paper, I just don't think there's leaps and bounds better than these teams. And with injuries and the ball bouncing, you just said that Jaden Daniels has a magical season. How do I know they don't win 10 games? You know what I mean? Like with him. So
here's the thing. I was gonna say with the Jaden Daniels thing, you got to go back to his rookie season. Who else on that Washington team did he have other than Terry McLaurin that season? I mean, Brian Robinson in the backfield, Terry McLaurin at wide receiver, but he wasn't surrounded by some amazing roster that season. They went to the NFC Championship game. Like I said, Jaden Daniels is that dude, and if he stays healthy, you can bet Washington. You can't count Washington out either, man. I don't. As long as Jaden Daniels is healthy, Washington will be in the mix as well. But let's get to the next spot, man. Here at the cornerback position. Interesting. How do you see these? How do you see the corners in the NFC stacking up?
This is where I think there's going to be probably some differing of opinions, but I'm going to go with the Eagles number 1, because if you look at Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and then they also have Reek Woolen, who they got. I think those 3 corners are probably 3 of the best corners in the division, and they've all done things. Like Tariq Woolen played on that friggin' team that just went to the Super Bowl, and he was a big free agency get for them. And I think he's going to bring a solid number 2 presence that they haven't had in a while to the team. He's still young. They obviously liked him a lot, and they went out, and when you win the Super Bowl, this is what happens. You don't get to keep all your players, and he's been a Pro Bowl corner, and I think that even though he signed a 1-year deal,
I think he's going to have a chance to be at least their nickel back with the other two guys. He doesn't have to be a focal point starter when you have Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So that's my number one. And then outside of that, everybody else is a toss-up in terms of their cornerback room. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the most experienced room, and that would be the Giants because they have Paulson Adebo, they have Greg Newsome, they have a couple other guys like Andrew Phillips, who I kind of like, and I also have Colton Hood, who I think is going to have a solid year as well. And with the three guys we just mentioned, Adebo, Newsome, and Phillips, I think the Giants bode well for a strong corner. There is rumors that Art Green is getting a lot of publicity with this group. So they're number two. The Washington Commanders, I would put at 3. Even though I do like Saren still, Trey Amos, I just think overall collectively the Giants have a little bit better talent than them. So I'm going to put them at 3. And then the Cowboys, they have Deron Bland and then a bunch of nobodies on the other side. And they really didn't make – I mean, they're trying to have Ravel, Darren Ravel, I think his name is. I could be wrong. Try to bring him back. Siobhan Ravel, excuse me. He didn't really do much last year. He was expected to do something, but he was injured. I'm sure they're expecting more out of him this year, but I really don't see a strong cornerback group out of that group. So I'm going Eagles 1, Giants 2, Commanders 3, Cowboys 4 in terms of cornerbacks.
It says JBX says we had the best corners, shutdown corners. They can go man to man, I believe. They got a lot to prove, man. I'm gonna just put it that way. They got a lot to prove. Says Joe Ferry says Eagles have good corners. Cowboys, yeah, brutal. Giants have some upside, but it's tough to expect much. And with that, you're right about all of that, what you just said. I'm going to get to mine. My cornerback rankings. Obviously, I have Philly at the top by far. Cooper DeJean, Kenyon Mitchell, Reek Woolen. It's a scenario where all three of those guys could be in the Pro Bowl come February. You know what I mean? Like, that's how talented those guys are. But I differ. Here's where I differ. I actually put Washington up at number 2 here, man. I like Trey Amos. I really do. I like him a lot.
Rasul Douglas also helps too.
And they have some pretty decent depth in that cornerback room, man. And Washington, man. Like I said, behind Trey Amos, behind Mike Sanders, still they got guys like Antonio Hamilton Sr. as well. And they actually got the Trey Hawkins III. Remember him, New York Giant fan? You guys remember Trey Hawkins III? Yeah, he's even hanging out in the Washington cornerback room now these days. That's where he ended up at. So I kind of like what they kind of got going on a little bit. They got some decent pieces to work with. Then I did put the New York Giants 3rd. Coming off a brutal season a year ago back there. And these guys, to me, have a lot to prove. They got a long way to go to earn my trust back. I mean, they were getting just torched all season long. So hopefully, Denard Wilson can get these guys together and get them back in gear and get them playing some decent football. And maybe Colton Hood can step up. In my perfect world, Colton Hood wins the CB2 job at the minimum coming out of camp. That would be like perfect. My perfect world, something I would love to see. So hopefully we'll see how that works out. He so far has been looking really good in the off season as well. And so we'll see. Like I said, when they get the pads on and really get a little closer to the live bullets, man. And then same with, once again, I agree with you once again wholeheartedly. Dallas it's like just not much going on back there, man, at all. It's just not. It just is. Like you said, after Deron Bland, it's not a lot to get excited about. So for right now, they're definitely going to be coming up and pulling up the rear in the cornerback side of things, man. Says, wow, our former number 1 corner for a few weeks. Talking about Trey Hawkins III, yeah.
Oh, man. Listen, people liked him, like
he had a great spring and summer. Yeah. and then the regular season started.
Well, listen, another man's junk is another man's treasure, right? So we'll see what happens. You almost made me change my pick there with when you were talking about it, just because the last guy I didn't mention was Rasul Douglas. And they have Antonio Hamilton, both solid corners that have played. And I think with that depth, they could be good. But I'm smitten with Greg Newsome, and I think he's going to be a solid addition to this team. And I think he really has a shot at being number 2 corner out there. And because of his slot versatility, I could see him moving inside or outside and moving Phillips around as a pseudo linebacker they played. And then Art Green has been a guy that's been bantied about by Jordan Renan and a few other beat reporters that the regime kind of likes him. 6'4", played a little bit last year on special teams. Seems that he might be rising up the charts as well. So it's going to be fun to see the cornerback position and the wide receiver position. Got a lot of bodies in those 2 rooms on a lot of these teams, and we're going to find out where they shake out.
It will be fun to watch. So we got one more group left, man, and that is the safeties, man. So Adam, let's hear how you got them stacked up in the NFC East, bro.
Well, I'm going to put the Cowboys at 1 with because of Caleb Downs and having Malik Hooker there. I think those 2 guys, talent-wise, are going to bring it. And I just think with the rest of the units being so kind of undecided. But then the second group I would probably go with is is the Commanders, because they have Quan Martin and a few other guys, Will Harris, that I think they got there. And then I would put third would be the Eagles. I think they have a slightly good group, and the only reason they're going to be slightly better than the Giants is because the Giants – well, actually, I trade that. Screw that. I'm going to put the Eagles at last and the Giants at 4. The reason I moved the Giants up is because they have the Washington kid they brought over from the Ravens. They also have Jason Pinnock as well, not to mention Holland and Newbin. If you combine them all, Holland is not as bad as I think that he showed. Newbin, they're saying they like him, but Darius Washington, I believe, will get a lot of burn. And then they brought back Pinnock, who I like, whereas the Eagles – while you want to believe in them, they really only have 2 guys, if that, out there. You could argue that it's 1 when you look at their roster, but they're trying to put big weight in Andrew Mambuka, and then they have, their other safety is Andre Sams, and then I think Max Pulley and some other rookies that they have. So they don't really have like a bona fide safety that you're like can hang your hat on. So that's why I'm going to put them at 4. So the rankings as follows are Cowboys, Commanders, Giants, and Eagles.
All right. What's going on, man? It's good to see you, man. Long time no see. I ain't talked to you in a while, man. Football season's almost back, brother. And JBX here says, I believe that our corners are going to impress folks. We will rush 7, drop 4. Debo and Banks are going to come through. What you guys think? Banks needs to just make the team. see if he even makes the team, bro. I mean, that's just where it is with him at this point. He's got an uphill battle. But he's off to a good start so far in the spring and the workouts right now. He's been impressing. So we'll see how that goes for him, man. But he's got to more focus on making the team right about it now and just being on the team. And honestly, not so sure, no matter even if he does make it, if he's going to be number 2 opposite of Debo. I just not so sure about that regardless. But we'll see. We'll see how things work out, how things shake up, man. End of the day, if he can play himself back into that position legitimately, that's a very good thing for the New York Giants. Let's put it that way. But let me get my safeties out. And then I do have some differences in opinion with you here, Adam, in this category. And that is, I got Washington at the top, actually, of the safeties. I do. I mean, I like their safety room. I do. I mean, I like Nick Cross, Quan Martin, Will Harris, Jeremy Reeves. I mean, they got some players back there, man. A couple of guys. I think some guys that can definitely contribute and be a factor.
I'll put them at
2. Second, I actually put the New York Giants at second here, man. Because last year you can't convince me of last year. That to me, that was an anomaly for Javon Holland. I mean, I've watched that dude in Miami just absolutely ball out, man. And then last year was just a complete to me. That was an anomaly. That I think he's to me potentially the best safety in this division. I mean, truth be told, as things stand right now. I mean, I like him a lot, and I think that just was last year. I chalked that up to a lot of different things, and I think we're going to get a far better version of Javon Holland this season. Tyler Nubin, still not sure how to feel about Tyler Nubin. Rookie year, he showed me some things that had me a little bit excited. Him going in the year or two, and then it was just like I just don't know what happened, man. It's like he wasn't even remotely the same guy. And I know people were critical of him even his rookie season as well, but last year was just bad, man. The pursuit angles were just terrible. I mean, I've never seen a guy take so many bad angles in pursuit, man. Like, dude, like you got to get. I think he's the guy that needs to really just pull his head out of his ass and just, and I think there's legitimate talent there as well. Jason Pinnock, like you said, Ardarius Washington, guys like that. I think they add something to the room as well, man. So I did put the Giants at number 2, and then I put Dallas number 3. Just splitting hairs here, but like you said, Malik Hooker, I think, is just better than anybody on the Eagles. And
that's who's gonna be on the waiver wire. The Eagles, they'll probably make a deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're putting a lot of stock in Andrew McCuba, hoping that kid can step it up this year.
Everybody else, though,
but just not sure. If that's what they're putting all their eggs in that basket, that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? I think they're definitely going to be hitting that waiver wire hard, trying to upgrade that position.
Unless they do something like this, right, where they get a corner that can play, let's say, the slot, and Reek Woolen's doing good, right? So Reek Woolen now is doing good. You can maybe move Cooper DeJean to safety if that's what they want to do. That's another option they might think about doing. Is let's go to the waiver wire and be like, oh, we may not be able to get a great safety, but we can bring in another corner and we can move and adjust Cooper DeJean. So I don't know, man. I think they're going to definitely make a trade.
Says, ouch, making the team. His contract is guaranteed. Yeah, but John Harbaugh, man, owes nothing to Deontay Banks. He still got to make the damn team. You
got 4 guys who are penciling in ahead of him right now.
Yeah, John Harbaugh did not. Well, he wasn't a John Harbaugh pick. He's not a John Harbaugh guy. He's just so he's going to have to earn that.
Listen, when you have a rumor about Art Green possibly getting favor, the coaching staff being fond of because of his physicality and making tackles, that Deontay Banks doesn't tackle nobody. Colton Hood tackles people. Paulson Abdebo tackles people. We know that Andrew Phillips does, and Greg Newsome. Those 5 guys right there, if they are favoring Art Green, there's no room for Deontay Banks, especially unless you keep him as a 6th guy because of special teams, and you keep 4 safeties where it's Nubin, Pinnock, and Washington and Holland. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that because he's going to have to earn it. There's a lot of people ahead of him, so we'll see, man. I mean, it's a long shot, but everyone's got a clean slate. Didn't really hear much about him today, so.
Well, like I said, the offense, we'll talk about that real quick in a minute, but you think Nubin goes into the box more and Pinnock and the short guy play more? I mean, Nubin, his rookie year, he did seem to be a little bit better in those situations. So, like I said, we'll see, man. Everything right now is a wait and see, man, until I actually get my eyes on it. I don't know truly what to honestly expect, man.
I think they're going to deploy 3 safeties. I think Nubin's going to be a pseudo linebacker nickel position, and you're going to have that Washington kid come in and play another free safety and then let Holland roam around. The reason I say that is because Nubin, while he does do well at the line of scrimmage, even though he didn't come and fill a gap against Barkley that one game, I think that his best bet is being downhill at the line of scrimmage. I do not think he's a very good coverage player right now. So if you're going to deploy him and let's say take somebody off the field for passing downs, it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and whatever, you're nickel, you could see a 3 safety deployment there, especially with Washington. Don't be surprised if Washington beats out Newman for the starting position. That is also there. That's also a possibility that could happen. Newman is not guaranteed anything. And after the tape that both him and Banks put out last year, how could you trust them to do anything right? Regardless of, when we talk about Shane Bowen being bad, there's something that's called effort and understanding angles, and that has nothing to do with coaching. That's just fucking football awareness. And those two guys did not have football awareness. So if they decide to not have football awareness, they will not be on the team, and guys like Washington will take people's spots. And look for Pinnock. Pinnock, when he was here, he was a decent safety. Remember, he had the 102-yard return against Miami. He had a lot of picks with the Giants. He went elsewhere. I didn't think he should have left, but Joe Shane doesn't like to open the purse strings, so he tried to cash in with the 49ers, and a few other teams. Didn't really work out for him, but look out for him too. If Newman if Newman doesn't fit the bill, he could be a guy that pushes Newman off the roster.
Well, all right. You heard it. You heard it here first. JBX here says, my Giants are going to steal the division this year. Said Cowboys 2nd, Washington 3rd, Eagles last in the division. Now, that is a bold prediction.
Well, putting the Eagles last is the bold prediction. The Giants, I already predicted them to win the NFC East a couple times in many different avenues and walks of life here. So, it's not outlandish to hear that, but we want to hear that.
Joe Ferry says Holland was mailing it in his last year with the Dolphins too. I mean, yeah, but he was overall throughout this time with the Dolphins, he was a stud, man.
Look, I'm not going to overinflate Holland because when I saw him, he didn't really do much. But for a guy that was supposed to be a leader last year, he didn't really make that many impact plays. Now, we can blame, Bowen, but you can only blame Bowen to a certain extent. These guys do get paid their own money to go out and make plays. We'll find out. This camp, we'll find out who's going to be here, who's going to be starters, and who's not. Nobody is safe. Nobody from last year is safe. I can't pencil in anybody across the entire roster outside of maybe the stars like Neighbors, Thomas, Jackson Dart, and maybe a couple guys like that I could say everyone's safe. They're safe, right? On defense, nobody's really safe except for probably the outside linebackers, and definitely in the back 7, nobody's safe. Maybe Tremaine Edmonds. But everybody else, there's like Michael McFadden, he's already been pushed out by Arvell Reese. And then you have the cornerback spots. How do I know that Devontae Banks is safe? I can't say that with all this other talent of guys on the roster who are hungry. Not to mention Tyler Newman and guys like that, bubble guys that didn't really perform the last couple of years. You're not safe. I don't care if you give them a clean slate. That clean slate only goes so far. That clean slate goes, well, great, Tyler Newman's doing good, but Adorius Washington's doing better, and we think he has a better read on the system. You know what I mean? So Newman can come in and play special teams because we don't want to get rid of his talent because we believe in him, or we can't get a trade partner. I can see that happening, but nobody is fully safe on this roster, and that's how you want it. You want the best 53. I don't want any more scholarship players. I don't need that shit.
All right, when you are slow, your angles aren't going to be good. That's Tyler Newman.
It sounds like you're talking about.
It says JBX because Paul Datino's burner account. He's just he's enthusiastic, okay? He's enthusiastic, and I like that we can have that kind of enthusiasm. Joe Ferry's okay. He's just excited for the New York Giants, man.
And I think you should be. I think as a Giant fan for the first time in a long time, you should be excited about what's going on. Does it mean it's going to translate to more wins? I have no idea. But the buzz is better, especially like I said, when you know your quarterback is Jackson Dart. You're not like saying, who is it? Who's going to be the guy now? Dart still has a lot to prove, obviously. But unlike most years, I'm not rooting for the tank job. I'm not rooting to be the number 1 overall pick. I'm rooting to be competitive and have a chance at a wild card. And if the shit breaks right and we end up winning the division or close to it, then boom, let's do that too.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, just like I said, didn't get a whole lot of We didn't get a whole lot. I didn't get a whole. I read a little bit of the news out of camp today. Like I said, offense were the winners today, but once again, in shorts and t-shirts, you kind of expect that almost.
Well,
defense is limited to what they can do in a sense.
Right, exactly.
And I mean, it just kind of is what it is there. So that was the expectation. Offense did look good. Jackson Dart went 17 of 24 on the day. 4 of his incompletions. I mean, 3 of his incompletions were spike balls, and then Theo Johnson also had a drop. So that's 4 of his. That's 4 of his incompletions right there on the day. So Jackson Dart definitely was razor sharp. Braxton Berrios had a really strong performance out there today. Caught a big long touchdown pass from Jameis Winston at some point during camp and had several other catches.
He's a guy that's going to be a sleeper, man. He really is.
And Cam Scatterboo was excited to be out there. I mean, during the Joe Shane press conference, you can hear Cam Scatterboo in the background doing the Ric Flair, like, woo! You can hear him in the background, just excited. And obviously, Malik Neighbors, like you said earlier in the comments, Joe, that was probably honestly the biggest news of the day. Just the fact that he was out there on the field with the team, doing individual work, no team activities with him yet, but still the fact that he was even on the field at all doing the individual drills was good stuff and good to hear, man. So says excited. My favorite content creator AC ranked almost all our position groups last. No, you didn't rank all of them last.
Hey.
He did not. He
I
gave Giants.
said the outside linebackers were 1. You weren't paying
some love.
I'm glad I'm your favorite though, but I did not rank them last. Like you think that I'm not giving them credit. I mean, the Giants, I ranked them first with their outside linebackers, their inside linebackers. I think they were second, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I was pretty fair with the Giants. And I was definitely a homer when it came to a few of these other picks. So, I think a lot of things that are going to change this year because of injuries, and we'll find out. But hey, this is what we did. It's early July. Things are bound. Things, as they say, are subject to change. Okay, we're doing these rankings now with guys we don't even know are going to make the roster. We got there's a Christmas list of receivers for the Giants. Same thing with the Commanders DB list. That's going to be whittled down to 6 guys in each of those position groups. So it's hard to really rank everybody the right way. Now, if we do these rankings again at the beginning of the year, maybe we'll do that and see if anything has changed. And definitely we'll do it again at the end of the year to see where things may have lied when that roster is done. So this is not the end. It's just giving you a preview, and maybe these things change and our minds change with what we see. But going into it right now, everybody, I do believe, is razor thin. It's not like anybody, to me, is running away with this division. I don't feel that talent-wise or just, game-wise. I'm not saying the gap is necessarily closed, but I just feel like this offseason, every team has done enough where you can make a case for each one to win a division. And maybe that's what we'll do next week. We'll make a case to see why these guys can win. But, we're running almost out of time. Quickly, though, my special teams rankings are Cowboys number 1. I'm going to go with the Eagles 2. The Commanders, I guess, would be 3. And the Giants, because they have nobody on the roster yet as a kicker and as a rookie, would be 4. So those are my special teams kicking rankings.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't really rank special teams officially, but if I just had to do it off the cuffs, I would probably I don't know. I don't know enough about these guys' special teams. Hold on. I took their depth charts down too. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me pull them back up again real quick. See who we got here. Okay. There with the Giants. Let's see. Who do the Commanders have? I mean, the Eagles have. Boy, that's rough. Commanders, let's see what they looking like. Special teams looking like, oh boy.
The only guy that's surefire is Brandon Aubrey.
Oh boy. Yeah, I got Dallas 1 because of Brandon Aubrey. For sure. That just to me just strengthens that. I mean, one of the best kickers in the league, obviously, if not the best kicker in the league. I would then I'm actually I would go Washington next, man. Because Tressway is also a very accomplished punter in this league. Jake Moody, solid kicker. You know, the return men, decent guys. You know, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey.
If you're looking at returners, that's different. I was just looking at the kicker situation.
Oh, all right. Well, then, if we're just talking about the kickers, then yeah, okay. I go Dallas. Oh, we're talking about just kickers and punters. Okay,
Yeah.
Dallas, Washington, Giants, Eagles, man.
Really? I mean, the only reason I put the Giants because Ben Sauls hasn't been looking good, even though I like Ben Sauls, and the kicker they got is an undrafted rookie. So while, he's kicking 70-yard kicks, that's great in practice. I haven't seen it. So I just gave the slight edge there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from the punter standpoint. Jordan Stout, obviously, also one of the best punters in the league as well. So that's where I was looking at it from that aspect. But that's where I'm at. And JBX here says, I've been watching the Giants since 1972. I see it differently. I'm no analytical person. Wow, 1972. So you've been through two very rough stretches as a Giants fan, huh? Wow. Because those 70s was rough too. Goodness gracious. You had to go through this twice in your lifetime as a fan. Wow.
So many errors. Joe Pisarcik, Dave Brown, Daniel Jones. Ugh.
Joe Shane press conference. They need to wire him up to a polygraph machine. Woo! So did you guys rank Jackson Dart last?
No. I ranked Jalen Hurts last. Go rewind the show, buddy, because I had Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels, Jackson Dart, and Jalen Hurts. But I said Giants third. I said Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. That's how I ranked it.
Well, I would still, if I'm ranking the four quarterbacks in the division, I would put Jackson Dart at 4 just because the other 3 are just a little more accomplished right now at this point in their career.
There you go, Joe.
Giants 4 with Harbaugh.
No. I think he's the best coach in the division.
Absolutely.
If we're ranking coaches, he's 1. Nick Sirianni's 2. I put Dan Quinn 3, and then I put Schottenheimer 4.
I agree with that. Punt returner, my Giants have Tay Banks. Well, maybe. That's still a maybe. Mac has to go to Google AI for special team rankings. Come on, man. No. I wanted to pull the depth charts back up real quick so I can see the depth charts since I can see
he asked ChatGPT who the best
special team players are, man. That's what I was doing. I was pulling there because I had the depth charts up in front of me the whole time we were doing the show. And I had pulled them down already and I had to put them back up. Damn it. Okay, Joe Ferries. Damn it. I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's kicker and punter by heart. I had to double check that. I had to look. That's bold. Jackson Dart over Super Bowl MVP Hurts.
Yeah, you tell me that I put everybody last. Well, that's all.
Bo, what is your New York Giants ski outfit in the middle of the summer? That's a picture, man. That's a picture from at a game or something.
Oh man, you are a fiery one day, Joe. You know? I'm wearing the ski mask. Yeah, I'm trying to keep the sun out.
But guys, we're approaching 2 hours here, man, and we got to get ready. We got to wrap this up. We do appreciate you guys coming to the chat, hanging out, man. Talking while we talk this New York Giants football. I hope you maybe you agree or don't agree with some of our rankings, but that's why we do this, man. Alex, man, on his way to West Virginia, and Joe, appreciate you guys. But we're gonna wrap it up. So this week of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup, and myself and Adam will be back next Wednesday once again because we're gonna be here each and every Wednesday until there ain't nobody else left standing in the NFC East. Because it's that time of the year again. Let's go. Make sure you sub up to my channel, Matt the Giants Fan. Sub up to Adam Costas' channel. So up to the Hardcore Sports Network as well. Really appreciate it. Don't cost a thing just to hit that button, man. So why don't you go ahead and sub up and help us continue to grow, man. And we will be back once again next week for another edition of The Real Deal NFC East Roundup. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. That's my super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.